Thank you for that. I also want to thank the staff of Senator Enzi's office for helping us to secure this room. And I want to extend a very special thanks to Senator Richard Burr and his staff for co-sponsoring this event with us this morning. Senator Burr wanted to be with us here this morning, but he is at a hearing right now. However, he will be with us a little bit later, and we'll have an opportunity to share some thoughts and perspectives with us. So at that point, regardless of where we are in the program, I will kind of break the proceedings for a minute, bring the senator up so that we can hear from him for a second, and then we'll move back into our program. So thank you again for all of you for coming, and thank you to those individuals. Let me just very briefly share with you a little bit about the Campaign for High School Equity, who we are and what we are about. We are a coalition of national civil rights organizations dedicating to ensuring that high school students, particularly students of color, leave high school fully prepared for college, work, and life. Each of the organizations that make up our coalition has a very long and distinguished history in advocating for deeper civil rights and for pushing for a stronger democracy in America. The organizations range from the National Council of La Raza, the National Urban League, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, just a wide number of organizations that have remained on the cutting edge of civil rights and democracy in this country for many, many years. And the Alliance for Excellent Education, as the convener of this effort, is particularly proud to be seated alongside such distinguished organizations as we do this very, very important work. We are joined here this morning by a very, very distinguished and respected panel of guests who will lend their voices to our discussion this morning. I won't spend too much time going over their background because their bios are in your folder, but we're joined by Joseph Garcia, who is the Vice President for Advocacy and Communications with the North Carolina New Schools Project. Joe has, for the past 20 years or so, spent a significant part of his life working in and around schools and trying to move the schooling process forward. He spent some time in Miami helping with a lot of the really critical transformations that were being ushered in the Miami-Dade district under Rudy Cruz. And now Joe and the New Schools Project in North Carolina are really doing some exciting work around school reform and creating new and small schools throughout the state of North Carolina. So we're really proud and happy to have Joe here with us. We're also joined by Gary Huggins, who is the Executive Director of the Commission on No Child Left Behind. Many of you in the room may be familiar with the commission that spent a significant amount of time last year and even years preceding that, I believe, really crisscrossing the country and having some very, very important conversations about the direction in which No Child Left Behind ought to proceed, and more importantly, about concerns and suggestions that ordinary citizens like yourselves and I have about what No Child Left Behind ought to look like. So if there's an organization out there that really has spent some time really getting a very deep understanding about what citizens think about the law and how it ought to be adjusted, amended, shaped, or whatever the case may be, the Commission on No Child Left Behind has really done some very, very good work in that area, and it was just very important for us to ask them to join us to lend their voices. So Gary, thank you for being with us this morning. And then also rounding out our panel is Mr. Raul Gonzalez, who is the Legislative Director for the National Council of La Raza. Now, Raul is a former teacher, so in addition to being a seasoned Capitol Hill advocate and a civil rights professional with NCLR, he also brings a very unique perspective not only to our coalition but also to this discussion this morning, because he spent some time as a math and English teacher and as a special education teacher. So Raul, thank you very much for joining us. Now, our coalition is gathered here this morning to discuss very briefly a very important issue. In the next few months or so, school auditoriums around the country will be places of happiness and joy and celebration as family members and friends and well-wishers will all gather to share in the accomplishments of high school graduates. It will be a day of celebration for thousands of young people. Unfortunately, many thousands still will not enjoy those celebrations because many of those young people will have long since dropped out of high school. In fact, research shows that about 7,000 young people drop out of high school each day in our country, translating to just over 1 million children leaving high school without a regular diploma each year.